All right, the UFC show is back. We missed a week.
Yeah.
Life got in the way.
Always, right?
Yeah, it's frustrating when you like get back into something and you're excited though, and then it's like, damn it, life got in the way. We can't do it this second time.
This is it's hard to juggle adult responsibilities with fun stuff and things that you enjoy. You know, that's always a balance.
It'd be different if we were getting paid for this.
Not yet, though, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to get my hopes up, but that would make it a lot easier to make sure it was locked in.
We should get a Patreon or something like that, right?
Yeah.
For the 5 people that watch, they can $5 a month. We'll split.
I want to say the first one actually already has a decent amount of views.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I do want to touch on that card we missed, but we're going to start with what everybody wants to really talk about: the UFC 286.
Correct.
So, hey, we even got the number right this time, right off the bat. Look at us. Getting better.
I walked into the room and it was already like this. So I feel like you have all the credit, which is fine. You should take it. But
yeah, but it's just not, last time we couldn't even figure out, like, wait, was this UFC 280?
UFC fights.
Right. There were fights and they were good and we enjoyed them.
Shaking the rust off too. Last podcast was like getting back into the saddle, on the saddle and the swing of things. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Did you watch any of these fights? Did you want to talk about any of the prelims?
If you just want to go down, I can give some quick words about what I've seen. Mokaev, he looked really good. He survived a nasty knee bar attempt from Filo, and he looked really good and submitted him in the third round. It was one of the deepest knee bars I've seen, but yeah, he survived it. He looks like a sort of a smaller Khabib.
Oh yeah,
yeah, just like a really really good grappler. But yeah, if you go down early prelims, I don't know if I've seen it on there, but. It was in the middle. By the way, it was in the middle of the day. I don't know if everybody's watching, but
right. I kind of like that's what kind of made me lose track. Is the main card started at 5, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do some things. And normally I would have watched the prelims kind of while I was doing things, and I just didn't even think about it because they started so much earlier.
Yeah. I don't look at these people. Go up.
Yeah. Forget it.
Just go up, please. No offense, everybody. Scroll downward, yeah. Yeah. And I've seen Sam Patterson on the Contender Series, and he got knocked out, but he was pretty cool in the Contender Series when I seen him. But yeah, besides that, nothing that I. Actually, the Jack Shore versus Malcolm Amirkhani fight, I did see that, and and Amirkhani's been around for a while. Jack Shore's coming up from 135, but he it's like. If he strikes for more than 2 minutes, Amirkhani, he gasses. And it's like, if you're a 145er, you shouldn't gas in a round.
No.
That's a terrible...
That's awful.
It's a terrible way to fight. Or like your conditioning or whatever it's going to be. It's like, you just shouldn't gas that fast.
Yeah, typically one of the things about that weight class is the fact that they can go forever.
Yeah. And like you look somebody like, Yair or Volk at the top of the list there. And it's like, if you gas in a round versus Volk... You're dead in the second round. Yeah. And like Jack Shore submitted him. He rear naked choked him. He came up from 135. He had lost previously to Ricky Simone. So yeah, he looks like a pretty decent prospect, especially for the England market. Not a lot of grapplers in England. So
yeah. And Simone is an excellent fighter.
Yeah. So it's not a bad loss even. And he said that weight cut was getting to him. So
yeah. All right, so now we'll get to the main card, and we'll start with what was the disappointment of the night for me, but Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze.
Yeah.
And it was a decision win unanimous for Marvin Vettori. To me, the fight was kind of a coin flip, to be honest.
Yeah, it seemed like a sparring match or something. I don't know, just like the pace of it was real slow.
Yeah.
And like it wasn't dynamic. The fight wasn't dynamic. It was more just like a kickboxing battle versus guys who aren't great at it. And like Marvin's a pretty decent striker, but I would never say he's a striker. He's more like a generalist.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like he had the better technique, but he also was the one who probably got caught more during the fight. Yeah. And to me, Roman's problem was he was throwing like all hooks.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know how to throw any straights, my guy.
Right. It's just very rudimentary striking technique. It's like, or a shot selection. I don't think he kicked maybe once or twice. And Marvin's kick looked really good though. His kicks and his leg kicks looked really good. I think he came out southpaw and started chopping on his leg pretty instantly. And Marvin largely dictated the fight. He got caught against the cage a couple of times, and that's where Dvalishvili did a lot of his damage, was against the cage whenever he had Marvin pinned, but it's hard for him to get there the whole time. So,
and we didn't get to see anything crazy on the ground from Dvalishvili, which was unfortunate for me. I went back and watched his previous fight, which I didn't, against Jack Hermanson.
You saw that?
Yeah, I watched it before,
It's
and
nuts.
I was a fan, but I kind of just wanted to rewatch it.
Yeah.
And dude, his transitions and everything, even leading up to that calf slicer, were incredible.
Yeah.
Like he went for like 3 different submissions in a row, and then ended up in that calf slicer.
And I feel like they're just like stylistically, Marvin's a tough matchup for him. It's like he's pretty physical. He's a pretty good grappler. He's not like the best grappler. He's not like a high level BJJ guy, but Marvin's hard to really control and take down. And Dvalishvili also looked just a little bit slower.
He did. He definitely looked slower. But is part of that because you're throwing nothing but big looping hooks?
Yeah.
Maybe if you threw some straights in, you wouldn't look quite as slow.
Yeah.
But you're getting beat to the punch by a jab every time.
Yeah. And I think that he was losing the Hermanson fight too until that last round. It was Hermanson's doing pretty good damage on the feet and controlling the same way with this sort of fight. Before that last round, he was like losing and came back in that third round and won, which is impressive. But
right. And again, a last minute fight. And Jack Hermanson's stand up is weird. Like the timing's not quite what it is normally with like other fighters.
Yeah. He's very long and like it's like weird jabs and weird kicks. And he's not a bad kickboxer, but he's just kind of big. He's like a long guy,
Well, going back and watching that fight, I enjoyed watching his striking more than I did either of these guys in this fight.
Right. But I think Marvin is like a hothead and sort of intense, but his fights are always kind of boring.
Yeah.
Like he's not very exciting as a fighter. And he's a great fighter, but like you look at, I'm never really excited to see Marvin Vettori fight.
No, it's one of the reasons I even put money on Dvalishvili because I was so impressed with him in that last win, and also like I'm never excited for Marvin to fight. And I just kind of thought, even though Dvalishvili is 34, I think he still feels more like new blood to me than Marvin Vettori.
He has less fights. I think he's like 12-2 now, whatever, which is pretty young in your MMA career. I think he got started late. I think he was more of a grappler before he started transitioning. But
he said he's a self-made grappler. Like he kind of taught himself.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, especially if you can pull up something like the weirdest calf slicer I've ever seen in my life.
I don't think he just trains by himself now, though. I think he's probably at a gym at this point.
Yeah, you would think.
Yeah, if he's just watching YouTube videos at his house and fighting,
really impressive. Like if that was the case, hey man, go get a coach. You're gonna be good.
Yeah, you can level up 1,000% if you just go with another body, even.
Right.
But like I feel like Dvalishvili still has potential. It's just like kind of figuring out how to implement his game better. Like his game was like it shouldn't be like a very blocky kickboxing fight. It should be like his takedown should be a lot more dynamic or a lot more versatile to get in positions. And like his footwork wasn't that great cutting off the cage. If you want to land those hooks, you got to sort of bait your opponent into those hooks and get them to react and land your shots. So it's like he did okay on the cage, but it wasn't often enough to win the fight.
Yeah, for sure. There was a couple times where he caught him. I was like, oh, he might end it. But Marvin's tough, man. He just kept moving and regained himself and pulled out the win.
He has a good chin too. Marvin, it's like I'm thinking about. It's like I can't see him being knocked out. Like the fact that he went like 5 rounds with a 295-pound Costa or whatever he was weighing that night, and took his like body kicks and punches for the full 5 rounds. And
I will tell you what's crazy, and I think it happened twice on the night. But if I'm correct, one of the judges on this scored it 10-7, which was crazy.
For what?
For Vettori, for this fight. He scored it 10-7.
You mean 30-27?
Yeah, sorry, 30-27.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'd say a 10-7 round.
Yeah, that's really crazy.
That means he was on the brink of death.
Yeah, yeah, 30-27. And that, to me, was a little crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't see any kind of domination to get a 30-27.
I feel like round-wise, every round was close. And I feel like a 30-27 scorecard, it seems a lot further away of a decision. But, like, every round could be close and you still could be a 30-27. So it's like, I mean, which rounds did Dvalishvili win, you think? Like 2?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like 30-27, it's like a 10-9 round. It's like Marvin won the round, but he could have also been rocked. But like 15 seconds. He
Right.
got punched a few times against the cage. So it's like, and that's the fluidity of judging and how to score these fights. It's harder to parse through every round, and it's like, well, he was in trouble for 10 seconds, but the rest of the time he gets kind of peppered and kicked. So who won the round?
Right.
How do you gauge that? So
yeah. All right, well, we will move on. I'm not going to lie. I meant to rewatch this fight today, and I did not get to. But you had Jennifer Maia versus Casey O'Neill, and Jennifer Maia won versus unanimous decision. Of course she did.
Boring.
Yeah.
Rough.
Yeah. Again, a situation where I was hoping maybe the new blood.
Yeah.
Because Casey O'Neill, I believe, was undefeated before.
She was,
this.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a kickboxing fight. I think Maya shot a few takedowns and didn't get him.
Yeah, it was definitely. I remember it being a kickboxing fight for sure. And I remember Jennifer Maia's footwork looking good, and she looked quick.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just a flyweight women's fight that had to be on the main card.
Yeah, and meant pretty much nothing. Like honestly, if Casey O'Neill would have came out and dominated her, then it would have meant something. It's like, okay, now we have a new contender.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think Maya's ever going back to the top of the mountain. And now Casey O'Neill has a setback, so we'll see how she pulls it together for the next fight.
Yeah, there's a bunch of middling sort of like 125ers that are, kind of floating around and fighting each other and hard to really stand out of the pack. I feel like it's like, unless you like someone like Grasso won, and that's great, but like even then she didn't look that great until she won. Like she looked good, but like she didn't look that great until she won the title, really, or like Talia Santos almost beat Valentina, but it's like I wasn't really looking out for her until fight.
She almost beat Valentina.
Yeah, right. So it's like you have a bunch of like 4-fight win streaks or fights in a row that are pretty good, but like you're not like, oh, she's the one, and it's like, then they get there and they're like, oh, she's pretty good.
Yeah.
So
and that's kind of a problem when you have somebody at the top who's so dominant.
Yeah, like
and has
Valentina
been
was
for so long. Like you kind of lose track of who's coming up sometimes.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to do in the women's division because it's newer. There's less fighters, but it can happen in the men's, but for the most part, I feel like me and you, we're sexist. We know who the men are.
Yeah. Well, I feel like too. It's like a lot of the fighters. I watch them. I'm like, I'm not sure what this person's good at.
Yeah.
Like so.
Like Lauren Murphy.
Yeah. I don't know what she's good at. She's good at lunch rush.
Lunch rush.
She's good at a 5 top and a 3 top and a 4 top at the same time. Right. I'll be sat.
We really. She might have lost her job because King's closed.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Kings.
We're really hard on Lauren Murphy.
Yeah. I think you bring her up more than I do.
It just always pops in my head. I just could never believe that she's like fighting and she's ranked number 3. You know what
though? It's like, to her credit, she has to know where her skills are, and it's like to fight and train and go for this. It's like I'm being honest here. It's like it's cool. Like, it's like the self-belief you have.
Right. I actually I do like her because she's tough. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna really put Lauren Murphy out of a fight. You know? Like she's gonna be there till the end. It might annoy the shit out of you, like, would this lady just go down? Yeah. But she's gonna be there. And
same thing with like how Roxanne Modafferi was back whenever she was fighting. She retired, but it's like she obviously is not athletic and not gifted and like not prone to learning. And she's just a lifelong martial artist. Started training, I think, in Japan when she was like 19.
Yeah.
And just acquired the skills necessary to make it a career. And that's impressive, the longevity and knowing that you're disadvantageous towards people who are more physically skilled than you.
Yeah, she's weirdly considered like a pioneer and a legend.
Right, and it's rightfully so. I think she started fighting in 2002.
Yeah,
that's insane when you think about 2002 and where a women's division was.
Right,
non-existent.
Yeah. You really had to work to get those fights.
Yeah, you're just fighting Japanese women for some promotion no one's heard of for years, and so something that's cool. I think that's one of the most interesting aspects of MMA is it's every path's different for somebody, Yeah. And that's respectful, and you could make fun of every fighter, and laugh about them, but it's Lauren Murphy probably made decent money, and she's doing the thing, so
doing what she loves apparently.
Right.
I don't know why else you would keep doing it.
And she'll find another waitress job eventually. So.
All right, then you have Gunnar Nelson versus Brian Barberena, and Gunnar Nelson won by submission in the first round, and it I think what you expect. I think Barberena's only chance in this fight was to catch Gunnar when he was coming in. But
Brian's style is like he doesn't really have one-shot knockout power. It's more of like an attrition style. Like it's like sort of like how Matt Brown was, where like he'll break you down over time, and he's tough and he's in there, and it's like a battle of wills. And if you don't let him implement that on you, he's pretty not easy to beat, but there's paths to victory against him, you know.
Yeah, and Gunnar Nelson's kind of like the guy who's always going to be really good, but not quite.
Yeah.
Not quite top echelon.
I feel like he's been in that same stagnant position for like 8 years.
That's what it feels like. Yeah. Like we've seen his face change. You know? Like he actually, I said during the fight last night, because he used to have more of a beard, and I said he looks like he's straight out of one of Guy Ritchie's movies now.
Yeah. He looked pretty big though. Like he looked like he put on some muscle.
He looked huge. His head is really big.
Yeah.
He's got a big head.
And I don't remember much striking really in this fight. It was like basically like a distance kick, a few like kicks, and then like takedown, and then domination. It was like not a great performance by Brian Barberena, and like he was just submitted by RDA, so like that must be a hole in his game in which that, you know, his ground game's kind of lacking.
And did he take this fight short notice? Was Gunnar supposed to fight somebody else?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
No. But I mean, like Barberena's ceiling is what it is now.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of high hopes for him to go up. If you put him in the right fights, they can be exciting fights. Yeah. But I don't think he's getting to the top of the mountain.
Well, and like I said, like what's he good at? Being tough.
Yeah.
Being just a busy. It's like a workhorse type of fighter where it's like, you look at his fight against Lawler. He fought Robbie Lawler and TKO'd him along the fence, and like he was getting pieced up for a while. Then he just kind of took over the fight and just like swarmed him with like activity. You know? Yeah. And Lawler couldn't keep up. He didn't really hit hard, and like it's a tough style to compete against the top with.
Yeah. It was. Speaking of Robbie Lawler, it's sad how fast that decline came.
Yeah. Well,
he put on some of the best fights we've ever seen, and then it was.
I would say best rounds, because it's like I think about like the Roy McDonald fight, and like in my head it's romanticized about a great fight, but I'm thinking like there's probably a lot of rounds where he didn't do anything and just stood and looked at, because like he does that for a whole 2 rounds in a row where he just doesn't do anything.
We just watched it again recently, and it was they were fighting the whole time.
I haven't seen it probably since like a little bit after it came out.
Every once in a while, me and Brian have a few drinks, and people are there, and they haven't known fighting for the past few years. We're like, you've never seen this fight, and we start turning fights on. I'll tell you which one I'm usually let down by that I used to romanticize.
What?
The Ultimate Fighter, the Stephan Bonner versus.
Oh yeah, it's not great.
No, that's really ugly striking.
It's more historical.
Right.
It's a nice document.
UFC,
yeah,
tremendously, but not an actual great fight.
The narrative of like the fight and how it went down and like where it led the UFC to is more important than the actual technicality of the fight. Is like it's fine fight, but like it's not the best fight. You know what fight I watch all the time? Du Hoi Choi versus Cub Swanson. Do you remember that fight?
I don't know if I remember that fight.
Oh, you got to rewatch that.
I'll have to watch that for sure.
I think that is actually in the Hall of Fame as like one of the best fights. You know, like Diego Sanchez versus
Gilbert Melendez.
Whichever fight that Diego Sanchez got put in the Hall of Fame for his fight, but it's in that wing of like classic fights.
Okay.
Yeah, Choi versus Swanson. When like it's like those guys are not champions. It's just a fucking great fight. But there's like Hendo versus Shogun. That's a classic fight.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like, you know what's kind of overrated? Gaethje versus Chandler. It was good, but like people act like that was just like the barn burner of the century. And like when I watched it live, I was like, that's a good fight.
Yeah,
but it wasn't as like crazy as you think it was.
Fun, entertaining fight, but it wasn't. It to me, it doesn't compare to a lot of the fights we just mentioned.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We'd like to get sidetracked.
Yeah, that's all right. I feel like we're moving quicker pace today.
We're moving very fast.
Yeah.
we were prepared. You know, we're getting better.
And we didn't watch most of the fights, so.
Yeah, this time we didn't watch all the prelims.
Right.
So next, definitely probably fight of the night. Not definitely, probably, definitely was. It was Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev.
Yeah.
And Gaethje won a majority decision, which to me this fight maybe could have been a coin flip.
Yeah.
But not upset either way. I did want Fiziev to win just for the new blood coming up.
Right.
But I must have forgot about Gaethje in the striking game, man. Like, if you're going to just stand and strike with him, it's going to be a long night.
Right. And plus, you think about the training camp, too, that Gaethje prepared for. It's like, it's a different thing comparing Oliveira training camp versus a Fiziev training camp.
Yeah.
So it's like, when you know this person's probably not going to shoot a takedown and doesn't have any offensive BJJ, how good can Justin hone his striking in that camp and get it on point and prepare for Fiziev's game plan? Because it's like Fiziev is an excellent striker, but I feel like it's like, yeah, he's a Muay Thai fighter, and there's a lot of tape of him fighting his style. So you have a good coach like Trevor Whitman and someone who's naturally adept at fighting like Justin, setting up a training camp around Fiziev. It's probably pretty easy. Not easy to do, but...
Right. It's a perfect stylistic matchup for him. Like, he doesn't have to worry about takedowns. We're going to stand and bang the whole time. This is what I do.
Right.
Yeah.
And on the inverse, too, it's like Fiziev also. It's like, yeah, is Gaethje going to shoot a good takedown? And you get to really... Is he going to chain wrestle? No.
Right.
He shot 2 takedowns, I think, in the whole fight. But they're half-hearted.
Yeah, and crazy.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, nobody expected Gaethje to go for any takedowns.
Yeah. So it's like, it was a good stylistic matchup for each of them. It's just that I think that Justin made better in-fight adjustments than Fiziev did. And I think Fiziev was throwing a lot of power in that first round and thought he could just throw power for 3 rounds. But, he didn't really pace himself as well as Justin did in terms of the fight to win it,
Yeah. He couldn't have thought he was going to get him out in the first round, right?
I mean, Justin got... that first round against Oliveira, he got dropped and choked. So, and Oliveira hits hard, but if you're a striker like Fiziev, you have to have the confidence, Oliveira could drop you. I'm going to crack you too.
Yeah.
But I think Oliveira's a little more sneaky with his striking and the way he sets up his game and implements it against fighters. It's not a straight cut and dry like Fiziev is. He's just going to go in there and do what he does and strike. But Oliveira is a little trickier to navigate. The kicks and the takedowns and the clinch work that Oliveira
exactly. You have to worry about more than just throwing punches.
Yeah. So it's that's like I said, Justin can game plan around that. He's just going to come in, kick the shit out of me, try to rip my head off, and that's basically what's going to happen. And I have to stop him. So
yeah, I really believe that Fiziev was going to pull this out, but like I said, I must have forgot because Gaethje is just a monster when it comes to the boxing game.
Yeah, his uppercuts too.
Yeah,
excellent.
Just all of it. It all seems to be thrown with a decent amount of power. Fiziev was pretty beat up. His face was pretty beat up by the end of the fight.
Yeah, this is a good learning experience for Fiziev though. It's not a bad loss. Losing to Gaethje, it's he could take away a lot from this fight and build on that for his striking and the way he could pace himself, his conditioning, his game. So I feel like going forward, he has to probably take a fight backwards and fight somebody, maybe Arman Sarukian or somebody like that. We'll match make a little bit later, but yeah, it was a great fight by both guys. I think both guys look great, actually.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it took the stock away really from anybody. It does concern me how well-rounded Fiziev is. Is he going to be able to deal with somebody who's coming in for takedowns?
Yeah, it's a little rough, and we haven't really seen that much. We've seen RDA, shoot on him and try to grapple him, but RDA is who he is at this point in his career, so it's harder to gauge someone like a Sarukian or Gamrot shooting takedowns and him able to get his game off against somebody who's trying to take him down the whole time. So
yeah.
And Gaethje, I don't think either. It's great fight, but also Islam's sitting at the top of the division, so
yeah,
you ain't gonna have this fight with everybody else.
No.
This is about the best person you can fight, coming up, because that or Jalen Turner, who's a pure striker too.
Yeah, and him versus Islam, I think would be a problem if his fight against Habib shows anything.
Yeah, unless he's worked on his bottom game, but how many strides can you take at 34 against somebody who's been grappling their whole life?
Right.
So.
All right, so moving on to the big fight of the night, the welterweight title championship. You have Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman, and Leon Edwards won via majority decision. Something that was weird for me, this doesn't really have anything to do with the fight, but this was the first fight where the shorts really meant something to me, like the champion being in black and gold. Because how long has it been since we've seen Kamaru Usman in anything but black and gold?
I didn't really think about that.
Him having the green shorts on was like weird to me.
Yeah,
at the beginning of the fight.
I guess when you think of him and your mental image of him, it's like, yeah, he's champion. Mm-hmm. He's been champion for a while. He doesn't. I mean, I guess like a discussion about his legacy is, obviously always going to be talked about now that he's not champion. Probably not going to win it back. I imagine he's 35.
Yeah,
but like. His run was good, but it's no GSP run. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
It's barely even like a Matt Hughes run, to be honest. He fought who? Like Colby twice, Masvidal twice, Burns.
Yeah.
Leon. I think that was this whole run, right?
I think you're right.
Yeah, it's like those names are good, but
yeah, a lot of people call it the best welterweight of all time, but to me that could definitely be a question mark.
I mean, it's always a debate of like resume versus what you see in the cage. Like Kane for 2 years was the best heavyweight ever, skill wise.
Yeah.
Resume wise, no. Same thing with Khabib. Khabib was one of the most skilled people that ever stepped foot in the octagon. Resume wise, it's a little flimsy.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes with either like lightning in a bottle, not lightning in a bottle, but a prime that lasts for X amount of years versus a prime that's longer or more dominant.
Right. I'd say the difference for Khabib is the fact that like you can't really picture somebody beating Khabib.
His fight against T-Bow, remember? That was a close fight.
That was a shockingly close fight. Yeah.
That was just like his second UFC fight, though.
Yeah.
Or first. Yeah, it was just early on.
And his striking got way better as he went on.
Yeah, for sure.
But in this fight, Leon Edwards looked great. Even the intention in his face, he looked more prepared for this fight than he was for the last one. And his striking is just good.
Yeah, his boxing isn't the best. His kicks are really good. His boxing is good, but his kick game is really good. His distance game is really good too, in terms of maintaining the distance he needs to land his strikes, not letting Usman back him up past the black line and get him against the cage like he did in the second fight rather. But
yeah. I think Usman. It seemed like to me he was trying to stand up with him too much. Like he had a lot of confidence in his striking game, which the clear path to victory here was to try to get him against the cage or get him down. And not that Usman has insane grappling skills. It's not like he's going to get you to the ground and throw some submission attempts on you. He's going to get you to the ground. He's going to wear on you.
Yeah. And like it's like I feel like Leon had a lot more to take away from that first fight and had a lot more room for improvement in terms of performances. And I keep saying previous fight.
Yeah.
He had a lot more room for improvement in terms of going forward for this fight, because I feel like Usman fought a pretty good fight that second fight until he got caught with that head kick, and Leon baited him into it. But Leon though had a lot of things to improve. His positional awareness in the cage, his ability to create damage in the distance whenever he was free, and like he wasn't as gun shy. So I thought Leon was going to win based on the fact that he could. There's more room for improvement in this fight. It's like, what can Kamaru do better that he didn't do? Not get kicked in the head, obviously.
Right.
But
he dominated other than that, except for the first round.
Right, and like now that they're in those positions and they've shared X amount of cage time together, it's like you have who's going to make the better adjustments coming in the third fight, and that was definitely Leon. So
yeah. So it was a good fight, and like you said, I don't think Usman's going to get another shot at it. He's older, and we have a new perennial champion who knows who he's going to fight next. I guess we dive right into that, huh?
Yeah, and I thought Usman should have retired.
I think if he won, he probably would have.
Yeah,
I think he's worried about his legacy, even though fighters aren't worried about their legacy. I think he is. And I don't.
Do you like Usman, by the way?
I think it's more of a thing where I could like kind of care less.
His interviews are kind of cringy. When he talks, it's like a movie script or something. Like it's like he has a script in his head of like how he wants to portray himself, and like everybody does that to some extent.
Right.
But his seems like it's like a very like character driven. Like it's like a like very cocky, but like a weird, not cool. It's not. It's not try hard. Yeah,
it's not cool. Yeah, it's cringy. Yeah, I mean that's really the perfect way to describe it.
Right.
But we need to look at the welterweights here.
We're gonna go. top down.
Actually, should we start at the bottom?
Yeah, we'll start at like Dvalishvili, right?
Yeah, we'll start at Dvalishvili.
Dvalishvili,
And that's
middleweight.
Middleweight.
All right.
So for Marvin Vettori,
he could fight Dricus or Cannonier. I haven't heard about Cannonier since he beat Strickland.
Right.
And I think that Strickland trained with Vettori, so I don't think they'd fight. I think they're training partners.
Yeah. So probably Cannonier, I suppose.
Brunson retired, so he shouldn't even be in the rankings.
Yeah. But that's really the only option there. And then for Dvalishvili, huh?
I guess you could fight Imavov, who just lost to.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's really the only fight for him, to be honest.
He just lost to Strickland, too.
Yeah, and Brunson is gone.
Yeah. I guess you could go a step. It's like.
But you're not going to, like. Duplessis is.
Going up.
Yeah, he's going up. Yeah. So, I think those are really kind of the only fights that make sense for either fighter.
It seems like it's like Cannonier, Duplessis, Strickland, and Vettori are all in similar spots of like waiting to see what happens with Whitaker, Adesanya, and Pereira.
Yeah.
Like does Whitaker take another fight? Also, Hamzat coming up too.
Right.
That actually,
I'm actually a little. Okay, I guess they'll probably have him ranked in welterweight. Hamzat, yeah.
But like he'll get a top fight in middleweight if he comes up instantly. Like he could fight.
I think Dana White's actually already said that. Like he'll be up against one of the top guys.
How do you think he matches up against Vettori? That's a tough fight for Hamzat.
To me, that's just hard to say. Just because Hamzat
doesn't fight anymore.
and he picks up grown men and just walks with them while he's talking shit.
Right,
like
grown cans.
It's grown cans.
Yeah, not baby cans.
But they may not be the best wins, but it's still crazy. And Hamzat looked good against Burns. I mean, not great, but good. He was overweight in that fight. That's a fight.
No. He was overweight in the Kevin Holland fight.
Oh, okay.
It was at 178.
Oh, yeah.
And Marvin's pretty tough and physical. Like, can Hamzat shoot a takedown instantly and pick him up and walk around with him and grapple the shit out of him? Maybe, but have we seen him do that to somebody on Marvin's level at middleweight? It's like he has one middleweight win, which is when he knocked out. What's his? When he had that knockout against.
What was it, Mershov?
Yeah, Gerald Marshart.
Yeah, Marshart.
Yeah, so it's it's hard to gauge how his game will translate up to 185. And I think that I heard rumors about him fighting Whitaker, and I'm like, dude, that's a tough matchup for.
Yeah, I think that's definitely
the worst matchup actually.
Yeah.
I see him beating Izzy or Pereira before he beats Whitaker.
Yeah.
Because Whitaker's takedown defense, I've not seen somebody grapple Whitaker and hold him down
But at the same time, is Whitaker a little bit smaller?
Whitaker, but is Hamzat a small 185er? I don't know how big he is compared to the division. He's small against Pereira. Pereira is a monster at 185.
Right, yeah.
And Marvin's a monster. Marvin's pretty built. He's not the tallest guy. Costa's huge.
Yeah, Costa's huge. I think Costa would be a problem. I don't think he's going to pick up Costa.
No, just the brute strength required to do that for. And his gas, he didn't look great against Burns. Is that because of the weight cut? It's there's a bunch of questions about Hamzat's game because it's not cherry picked, but it's been very formulated to not show his weaknesses as much. There's not been an evenly matched fight besides Burns maybe, and that fight was pretty close,
Yeah, but honestly, I thought there was a chance that Hamzat versus Holland would be closer than it was because that was just a mauling.
Yeah, but you got to think of who Holland was preparing for.
Who was he originally preparing?
He was
for?
fighting. He was fighting. The Leech. He was fighting.
Because that was the big switch around. Where they moved around a whole bunch of fights.
Yeah, Leech fought Daniel Rodriguez. No, he's fighting Daniel Rodriguez, and Leech was fighting Tony Ferguson.
Okay.
And then Leech and Rodriguez got matched up. Holland got matched up with Hamzat, and then Diaz got matched up with Ferguson. Yeah. So it was a 3-fight switch in terms of all these opponents switching around. Yeah, so it's you go from D-Rod, who's a boxer,
right,
versus Hamzat in a day's notice for a big paycheck. Yeah, you're probably thinking I'm going to get taken down and beat up, but the check's gonna cash Monday.
Right, but I'm gonna collect this check.
Yeah. So like could Holland do better if you've had a training camp? Probably. Yeah, can do worse, right?
Yeah. Yeah, can't do worse. I really wish Holland would take the next step because he's just a likable guy.
Yeah. But his lack of professionalism in terms of his career makes it hard to get behind him as a contender. You're like, yeah, he's
yeah, like he's awesome, he's entertaining, but he has no regard. Like he's gonna take every fight.
Yeah. And he got the shit beat out of him by Wonder Boy. Wonder Boy beat the shit out of him in that fight.
Yeah.
And Wonder Boy hasn't beat the shit out of anyone in a while. He's won fights, but he has not like dog walked him. It was bad.
Right. Well, and then part of that was Holland's fault too, because Holland said, "No, we're going to fight your game." Like he eventually took it back and started trying to take him down, but at first he was like, "Yeah." All right. So the next would be Maya and O'Neal.
Don't make me match this up.
I know. Maya fight Chikagian. Call it a day. O'Neal.
They already fought.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, fight Lauren Murphy.
Right. Or Lemos, maybe. Wait, I'm not looking at the right division. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm like over one. No. So I like how Andrade is in every woman's division. Just ranked. She's at 145. It's her dude that's ranked at 145 together. Just a fat off the couch Andrade just sitting there at 145.
That is hilarious.
Wait, is there a 145 ranking, by the way?
I doubt it. They only probably have like 3 fighters. Oh my God! What
Division?
Did they close that division?
No, I messed something up here. Hold on.
Nice. Let's leave that up. We'll decipher what it
We'll
means.
decipher what the code is.
Yeah. Women's featherweight.
Didn't we just joke about this?
Yeah.
Nunez is just marked as the champion.
Yeah. You might as well just do women's lightweight 155 and just put her head along consecutive rankings of divisions.
Right.
Like, Nunez is the 5-weight champion up to 185 women's. And it's like, why not? But so I'm trying to get a. It's just discombobulating. So 125. That was a flyweight fight. So okay, we're over there in that column.
Yeah.
These random women's names, like nothing's sticking out. I'm like, Valentina's over here, so that okay.
But this is the pound for pound over here. I realized.
Right.
So.
I wish I had an idea about who Maya's fought besides Valentina when she gave her that close fight because Blanchfield's fighting. Blanchfield just fought Andrade and beat her.
Oh yeah,
she did. So
yeah,
that's pretty cool. It's cool.
It's like, but like Maya, she's not gonna go up crazy. Like I feel like she almost has to fight. I mean, maybe Andrade, I guess. Rebus go back one.
It's gonna be Angela Hill randomly. Like she's not ranked, but I feel like Angela Hill just fights any. She's like the Kevin Holland,
right?
Yeah,
just throw her in.
Not racial thing, but just right. She fights a lot, and any random person, and like the UFC likes her a lot too. I think Angela Hill. The UFC likes the fact that she fights in any card against any woman.
Right.
So,
and her fights are usually decently entertaining.
Yeah, and like there's a bunch of women that like Blanchfield's really good. The fact that she tapped out Jessica Andrade is really impressive, actually.
Yeah.
I said it was cool, but I mean that.
Right.
Yeah.
It just sounded funny the way you said it.
Yeah. I don't like Chikagian. She's very boring.
Yeah. She's like mediocre striking.
She's like Holly Holm from Wish.
From Wish. It's like,
seriously, like
it's like I ordered Holly Holm.
Got a smaller, less noisy version of her.
Right. And then for Casey O'Neal, I mean 13, 14, 15. Fight one of them.
How is Cynthia Calvillo still a thing? How's she still? I haven't seen her win.
Yeah.
In a while.
There's just not enough women fighters.
I guess Barber she could fight.
Yeah.
That's. Barber, like I forgot about her too. She was a big thing 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then now it's like I don't even know when she last fought or who she's fighting against next.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That'll be it for that.
Yeah.
All right. So next is welterweight.
What fight is that?
Is it Gunnar Nelson?
I think so. Yeah. All right. Where's he ranked at?
Probably not, huh?
He's not ranked. Barberina's not ranked either.
And does that?
I don't feel like opening the rankings past 15.
No, not doing it.
No.
Not doing it.
Actually, why don't they do? I think
Kiss is getting ready to fight. I think
Gunnar Nelson was going to fight somebody on a short. I think it was a short notice switch. He was going to fight Daniel Rodriguez.
Was he?
Yeah, they should have rebooked that fight.
Yeah, that's good. Just rebook that. I thought it was a last minute switch.
Yeah,
up. Yeah.
I just the story. That news just like I read it and then it was in. Okay. It was just in and out of my head. Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
But, yeah.
Moving on. Gunnar Nelson got it.
Right.
Yeah, book that next. Call that a day. And Barberina, just find somebody, man.
Yeah.
Get a check.
Yeah. Just any random fighter that's top 20, I think, and top 25 even. He needs this big step down. His ranking. I don't think he was ranked, but maybe actually. Versus. Did Neil Magny win his last fight?
No, he lost. I'm trying to think of who it was against though. He definitely lost though. I remember him losing because we were talking about.
Click on Neil Magny real fast, please.
We were talking about
Jamie, bring it up.
Jamie, bring it up.
I can't remember who he lost to. But I remember he lost. He lost to Burns. Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't he fight Barberina? He doesn't need to be in contention at all anymore.
No, he doesn't. He's a good fighter. He's really talented, but there's no need. I can't even believe he fought Burns.
Yeah, that was a big step up, and that was after a win against D-Rod.
Yeah,
which is that shouldn't be that.
Man, but if he would have beat Burns, it would have been Sizzler.
Yeah,
it would have been the biggest win of his career by far.
You could even do Gunnar versus Neil Magny.
Yeah,
that's a fine fight.
Neil Magny's just going to be like the
gatekeeper.
The gatekeeper, yeah.
And I think he knows that.
All right, so
he's 35 now, so 34.
Yeah.
It's where your career's going to be at. But
I would have liked to have seen him fight. I mean, it would never happen now, but when he was calling for it, the Hamzat fight. Yeah.
Once I saw Shavkat lost him on the ground, it was a wrap. But I don't know how good Shavkat is compared to Hamzat.
Right.
I don't know if Shavkat's better than Hamzat.
Right. I'm thinking so.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I feel like Shavkat has more. I think it just internally, it's I saw Hamzat get ahead of himself in that Burns fight. Mentally, he was getting excited and he was losing control of his focus.
Yeah.
And Shavkat does not have that.
No.
It's killer.
Yeah. Straight. Yeah. I'm coming for you.
Yeah. It wasn't I'm excited. It was Hamzat was excited to be a part of a exciting fight and get punched and dropped and he was having fun and scrambling around. But Shavkat just I'm gonna walk forward. And I'm gonna put a hurting on you.
Yeah.
And I feel mentally he might be a little bit better, just more put together mentally than Hamzat. Maybe that's me projecting it. But Hamzat just doesn't seem as focused now. I don't know what's up with him. It's he hasn't fought much.
Right. I think it's his name just got too big too quick.
Yeah.
And it got to him.
Right. And also the in between the weight classes too. Is he a welterweight? Is he a middleweight? It's hard to book. Who wants to fight him in these divisions? When can he fight? There's Ramadan. It's gee.
Yeah. Ramadan.
It's so many Muslim fighters. Nothing against being Muslim, but it's y'all got to take off from Ramadan. It's Brian Barberina is fighting during Ramadan because no welterweight Muslim person wants to fight. So it's just Neil Magny versus Barberina as the main event because all the other people are out.
Yeah, because the top guys are all Ramadan.
Yeah, they're all fasting. So.
Yeah.
But I think now it's lightweight, right? Yeah.
Yeah, lightweight.
So Fizzy versus Gaethje.
Oh yeah, it's right there. I got this sun just glaring in my eyes here. Yeah, so start with Gaethje.
Poirier 2. Rematch against Poirier. Run it.
Yeah, I'd watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and what else is he going to do? I mean, you got Dariush and Oliveira.
Dariush is probably going to title shot if he wins that fight, I imagine.
Yeah.
I guess he could rematch Oliveira, but that's less interesting to see rematch because that's more recent.
Yeah. Well, if Oliveira wins, does he not get a
but it's only one win. I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of these fighters just winning in one fight and getting title shots again.
But it's who else is he going to fight? Is he going to fight Fiziev? Is he going to fight Gamrot?
I mean,
because he beat everybody else, right?
He beat Poirier. He beat Gaethje. I think Dariush is going to beat Oliveira.
Do you?
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of limitations about Oliveira being taken down and being on his back. That if he gets in good advantageous positions on the ground, that he is a great submission threat. But like
probably the best submission threat.
Yeah, but like there's positions that Dariush is probably going to exploit that doesn't put him in as much danger as Oliveira presents. So, and
even though we don't see it that often, I mean, Dariush is considered to be a world-class grappler.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's but Oliveira can crack him on the feet because Oliveira's probably has better stand-up. Dariush's striking isn't fast, and he has sort of heavy hands, but he's not very athletic. That's his limitation in terms of fighting. He's like very good and skilled everywhere, but like he's just not as fast as some of the guys he's fighting. But like I don't think he's as fast as Gamrot, and he beat the shit out of Gamrot and controlled the fight. So,
and I actually love Dariush.
Yeah.
I would love to see him get a title shot.
Yeah, and he matches up pretty well with Islam because Islam isn't. He's a great fighter, but he's not like a speed demon either. He's very athletic, but like his grappling's more slow and methodical. It's not like like how Khabib was like a whirlwind of like takedowns but like Islam works for positions and works into takedowns and sort of like chain wrestles, and like Dariush matches up to that pretty well. On paper at least. So.
Khabib more just forces you to where he wants you to go.
Yeah, it's a different sort of. It's similar games, but I think that. But Islam, I think, is a bigger submission threat than Khabib was. I think. Khabib's ground and pound's a lot better though. So, but then Fiziev could match Jalen Turner. He could fight Gamrot. He could fight Sarukian. All those dudes. He already beat RDA. I'd say Gamrot or Sarukian need to probably a step up, and also test his grappling a lot better.
Yeah, for sure.
Jalen Turner, it's like that's a softball in terms of like striking. You know, that's just going to be the same sort of fight.
Didn't he just lose?
Yeah, he lost to Gamrot in a close fight. Remember that was the last pay-per-view?
Yeah.
That was a close fight though. I think Gamrot won, but Jalen Turner's a good striker. So
yeah. All right, so jumping into welterweight, I believe Dana's plan is for
Colby.
Leon Edwards to fight Colby, which I kind of agree with Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards say, I don't understand how this dude just slides right into a title shot, and I'm inclined to agree.
Not to go back, but did you hear that rumors? This was going to happen. It was going to be Drew Dober versus Paddy Pimblett, and that fight didn't get booked. But
good thing for Paddy.
Yeah, because like imagine they're like heads and bodies together like on the lineup. It's like the opposite people.
Right.
It's like Scouser bowl cut guy versus like Ultra Chad.
Ultra Chad.
Yeah, seriously, it's like that's the perfect fight of like England versus America. And like they should have made it, and he would have been knocked out.
Oh man,
he's not good.
He's not good.
No,
he's not. What typically happens with him if he wins a fight is he survives a beating and then finds a way to submit you.
Yeah. And could he submit Drew Dober, but if he's leaving his chin out there for the amount of times he was in his last fight, he's getting chinned.
And you know what's crazy is like in his last fight, I still, even though it was bad, it was so bad, I still felt like his striking looked better than it had previously.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of room for growth. Every fight, it's like...
And I don't think he's going to have it because the dude he likes to eat and do all these podcasts, which I love him as a personality.
Yeah, he's cool.
A great personality. But I don't think he's focused enough to like really seal up the holes in his game.
No, and he's been fighting for a while. Like he's youngish, but he's been pro for like 10 years now.
Yeah.
So like if you're striking still like that after 10 years.
Yeah. I think he's going into surgery too.
It's hard to book him too. It's like he's a big name and has a lot of eyes on him, but he's not that great. So
right,
it's like
putting him on a main card is a stretch.
Yeah, and like these wheels are gonna fall off eventually. It's like sort of how Sugar was perceived at bantamweight back before he looked good against Jan. It's like, yeah, he's good, but who do you match him with? It's like you just give him warm bodies until it's like people are so mad that he's fighting these dudes no one knows of. You have to give him a step up, and like that step up is like, well, let's hope he doesn't get knocked out because
then we ruin the hype train.
Yeah. That's the problem with like having more name than like actual
skill set.
Yeah, and like not to be dismissive of him, he's a talented grappler, but
yeah, he's definitely a talented grappler, and he's still a better fighter than a gazillion people. But it's just when it comes to the UFC, you're looking at a place at this point.
Yeah. All right, so welterweight,
yeah. So welterweight first is Leon Edwards. It seems like they want to make it Colby Covington. That seems like a mistake.
But there's it's like welterweight's stagnant in terms of like I guess depending on how they book Burns versus Masvidal winner. It's like if Masvidal wins, that money fight against Leon's there. I don't like that either.
Right, but it is a big money fight because of the drama that happened years ago.
But also, too, is there a lot of luster taken off of Masvidal's name? It depends how he wins against Burns, if he does.
Yeah.
But, like, Masvidal hasn't looked good. And I think the jig is up. You know, it's like Street Jesus as a commodity to the UFC is kind of it's tarnished. So
yeah, I unfortunately agree because I do like Masvidal, but again, I like the swagger. I like the character.
Yeah, but you need to win.
Right, you got to win.
Yeah,
like that was the difference between what all you guys are trying to do and what Conor did. Conor won.
Yeah, well, Conor's in that same boat now too.
He is, but when he was on his tear, he was beating everybody, knocking everybody out.
Yeah, it's easier to believe the hype and the confidence too. It's like, is Conor he's probably coked out confidence now.
Yeah. His confidence. I don't think his confidence is left.
But how much of it is like a facade, though? You know, it's
right. But for Leon, I would say if Burns wins, right? He's never fought Burns, has he?
No. That's a good fight.
Yeah, and I hate Shavkat.
Yeah, I mean, like, someone has to fight Shavkat,
right? and more than likely, none of those guys are going to.
Bilal might. He's boring as shit, though.
Yeah.
Like, I do not care about Bilal.
No.
Like he's good, but like he's one of those fighters who he's good at game planning around. He's a smart fighter, actually. He's really smart. He's like
he's intelligent just in general.
Yeah, and like he knows that his wrestling's not the greatest, his striking's not the greatest, but his game planning is pretty good in terms of getting these wins. It's like he strikes against people who wrestle. He wrestles against people who strikes. He's like the GSP, but not. He'll do the inverse and actually take a safe route to victory. And like, I think Shavkat beats the shit out of him though. If they fight, they should be fighting for the number one contendership, because it's insane that Colby is being slotted in based off of a win against Masvidal over a year ago.
Yeah, well, and you said that he doesn't have. You told me this before, and I didn't even realize that he doesn't have a win against a top 10.
Well, yeah, look at his top 10. Let's just look. It's very easy. So Kamaru, he lost to twice. That's fine. Masvidal's number 11.
Yeah.
Why is Masvidal fighting Burns?
Yeah.
That's insane to me too.
Because they're hoping to get that. They're hoping to get that fucking check on that Leon Edwards fight.
Yeah, you just like force it, and it's like, well, it's the same thing with, it's like using their name brand. It's like what they did with Tony Ferguson. Like Tony Ferguson should, and he did get a step down, recently. But it's just like, how many people can you keep feeding Tony Ferguson to? It's
right.
Like, same thing with like Masvidal. It's like, I didn't think Masvidal would beat Luque. I don't think he'd beat Jeff Neal. I think Jeff Neal would probably knock him out.
There's a chance. That Jeff Neal fight would be fun though, probably.
Yeah, but like Jeff Neal's not really a name. Like he's great, but like Masvidal's like in the position where Conor is, and where a lot of people end up being. They're too big to book.
Yeah, well, it's actually, to me, it's almost impressive though that they are having Masvidal fight Burns, because sometimes when the story's big enough, they'll put you right in the championship fight.
Yeah,
I mean, shit, they're trying to do it with Colby Covington, and there's no story.
Yeah, well, Colby is. He's good at selling. He's doing the Chael Sonnen approach, where he's talking himself into a title fight that he doesn't deserve.
Yeah,
and like that's, man, it's your career. Why wouldn't you do that? If someone's gonna let you and slot you in there, it doesn't fall on the Colby. It falls on the UFC for booking that fight. So,
yeah. I think the tougher one to match up is actually Usman.
Yeah, well, Usman, I can't see him fighting anybody besides, like, literally, I don't know who he could fight. Like, actually. Let's see him versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. They're both slower, both older.
Yeah.
Different. They haven't fought yet.
And at least it's
Bilal or Stephen Thompson. It's like, but then who's Shavkat fight?
But that's my thing, because like the Bilal fight just seems like it doesn't do anything for Usman. The Shavkat fight is fucking risky.
Dude, that's a brutal fight for Usman.
Yeah.
Is he gonna cage clinch Shavkat for 3 or 5 rounds?
I don't think so.
No, like he's too violent.
Right.
Yeah, and like he's too violent and like dynamic and young. To do that too. And like Bilal versus Usman is like the most boring fight I could think of in welterweight. Yeah. Like, because like Usman's not that exciting.
No.
If he's winning, like he knocked out Masvidal, but if he's winning, he's stomping your toes.
Right, right.
That's what he wants to be doing.
I hate that move.
Yeah, that's what he wants to be doing at any point in time, is stomp your toes against the cage and just knee your thighs or whatever.
Yeah. So my dream matchup for Leon would probably be Shavkat, just because I'm getting high on Shavkat. But I don't know that fight will actually get made. I think more likely they wait for the winner of Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah.
UFC praying that Jorge wins that somehow.
If Burns loses, well, if Burns wins, they're probably going to book Colby because Colby's a bigger name than Burns. I think that's what's going to happen. If Masvidal wins, they might be tempted to book Masvidal because of storylines. If Burns does win and Colby gets the title fight, Burns can fight Shavkat for the number one contendership. I'd be okay with that. But then what do you do with Belial?
And what do you do with Usman?
Right. That's what I mean. So like these people have to be matched up eventually, and then like I'd rather like it's like Shavkat. It's like I'm looking for like activity and performances in like new blood. It's the same thing with lightweight. It's like, yeah, Gaethje just won, and like he's probably gonna fight Poirier, but it's just like, how many times can I see Poirier, Chandler, and Gaethje fight each other?
Right.
But then it's like, if they win, it's like, well, yeah, what do you do? You know, it's the stale top of the division.
Yeah.
And the ceilings are hard to break through if you're top 10, but not top 5, because it's like, who the fuck wants to fight Shavkat?
Right.
That's like, why would you want to fight him? It's
like the only person who really might fight him is Blau.
Yeah, just because he's not in a position to be picking fights.
Right.
He has a win streak, but it's not that impressive, and he's not a big name, and he's not exciting. So it's like, you better hope you beat Shavkat, because that's the only way you're getting a title shot, is beating a hard fight.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I don't think he'd win that fight, but Blau, like I said, he's smart.
Yeah.
He can game plan and figure it out maybe, but yeah, it's hard to book these guys because Colby should not even be ranked, by the way, or not be ranked that high.
Again, because he hasn't beat anybody in the top 10.
Right.
That's crazy when you say that.
Well, like, I mean, and then you go beyond that. His last win before Masvidal was Woodley.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. Woodley's like the.
They should actually make Colby Covington fight anybody,
Yeah.
like
That's
besides
what I mean.
the champion.
That's what I mean. Like I said, Jeff Neal could be. He might not be as good as Jeff Neal now. We don't know.
Right. Especially, I mean, he's definitely not with the hands. He'll want to put that pressure on him, keep him up against the cage.
Right, but like, is he as good as Burns? Burns could crack him, and his BJJ is legit.
Yeah.
And Burns is a grappler too. And like, I remember.
Yeah, I mean, Burns is a world class. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's a champion in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And like, RDA was taking on Colby back when they fought, and it's like, Colby's not impenetrably like hard to take down.
Yeah.
And like, him and Usman are both really good, but like their matchups make their fights go a certain way. It's like no one wants to grapple because it's like they cancel each other out, so they have like sloppy kickboxing fights. Yeah, and they're good fights, but like, you know, like neither of them are like punchers or great strikers. You know, Usman's striking is serviceable, but not great. He has decent power, good jab, and that's about it.
But you know what? Did Colby beat Dustin?
No, Colby. They were gonna fight at 170. They have like gym beef. Remember?
Yeah. For some reason, I thought I gotta look at Colby real quick, because for some reason I thought
Look at Colby.
I thought Colby did.
Look at his last 5 wins and when they happened. It's probably the thinnest resume of a top 2 fighter. Like, he's number 2 now, 1 now. You know, he's gonna be. It's bad. Closing up Magny.
that drives you nuts, doesn't it?
I don't want to give him any more screen time. Let's see. So he beat March 5th. He beat Masvidal. That's over a year ago. Okay, so his next fight's going to be what, in July, maybe? A title fight?
Yeah. So yeah, he beat Masvidal, lost to Usman,
beat Woodley,
Load
more. Lost to Usman, beat Lawler. RDA.
That's who I was thinking of as Lawler, because at the time it was still a question whether or not Lawler was going to be able to like make a rise again. You know what I mean?
Go down some more. RDA. Then I think before that, it has to be Maya.
Yeah, it called it.
Yeah, it gets rough. And then who?
Oh, Barbarina. That guy Ma. That's Ma.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to fight somebody.
Wait, click up Ma, because that's stun gun.
It's stun gun?
Yeah, stun gun. That the fact that you don't know it, yeah, the fact that he beat him. I thought he beat Stun Gun. Wait, go to his fights.
Go to this guy's fights.
Yeah, we're in the rabbit hole now. Who's? They have the wrong person. That's not the right. That's not the right person.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Let me do a quick Google. Because independent of this, and now I'll direct you where you need to go to figure this out. So I'm gonna go to Colby coming in Wikipedia page. All right. Give me a second. Mixed martial arts records. He beat Dong Hun Kim. Stun Gun. He beat Stun Gun, the one that Carlos Condit flying knee knocked out and punched it in his head.
Yeah, I remember. He's actually, that guy's a wrestler, right?
Yeah.
So they do have a complete wrong guy on there.
That's funny.
It's a fucking $1 billion company.
Right. I like how the highest, the most relevant fight that Colby has is Barbarino. Like that right now.
Right. That's the
most active fighter.
Right. The most
is him.
Yeah.
Wait, that was 7 years ago. 6.5 years ago.
Yeah, he should not be fighting for the title. Leon Edwards is 100% right.
But it's poor resume.
But to the more casual fan, they know the name.
Yeah.
So they're probably not upset about it at all. They're like, yeah, Colby Covington, let's go, America.
Yeah. But like it's like, I guess that's how the UFC is always booked. I'm not surprised by the booking.
Right.
But I don't. It's like, you get sad every time you see it.
When you bring up the fact that he doesn't have a win against any top 10 opponent in his weight class, that to me that makes it worse than it usually is.
Yeah,
because it's very and there's not even a storyline between him and Edwards.
It's just like, I'm pro-Trump and he's British or whatever.
Right.
Which is not a compelling storyline for anything. No. Why couldn't he have fought Bilal on this card?
Right.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
So you cut weight, you show up, but I thought you had a brain injury from Masvidal sucker punching you, and you're in a court case, and then you make weight, and then it's like, okay, so you are good to fight, you just didn't book anything.
Right. Because you only want to fight for championships.
Right, but like, I mean, I just like to see. I like to see where people are at, because it's like, yeah, if he beats Bilal, okay, that's fine. Because Bilal came out and said he talked to his management, and he tweeted text messages from him and his management and his training partners about they offered him Colby, but Colby didn't sign for like 3 times.
Yeah,
and it's like that's a little shitty, to be booked for a title fight after you didn't. I don't think he ducked Bilal. Like, I don't think he's afraid of Bilal. But it's about being optimistic about your career.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
So we're gonna go back 2 cards ago to look at that. To look at the fight night that we missed.
That was that Davey Grant versus the Sunchild.
Yeah,
and then that SoundCloud rapper versus Josh Friend. Yeah. That's cool. that's literally.
Yeah. Somebody really wanted me to watch this Dumas guy fight. He was like high on him from the Contender Series, I guess. That dude needs a lot of work.
Yeah,
he needs a lot of work. Did you watch that fight?
No, I didn't watch it.
Yeah,
but
that's okay.
But I actually saw the fallout where he tweeted that like he wants a rematch with him. It's like, dude, you're not getting a rematch on a prelim fight. Yeah, you lost it.
Right.
There's no incentive for anyone.
Somebody else.
Yeah,
and it was pretty bad.
Yeah,
it didn't look good. There was a lot of glaring holes. Then a Sun Sal versus Davey Grant.
That was a crazy finish.
That was a crazy finish. The
I seen
inverted triangle.
Yeah, and then the spinning back. That's where he dropped him.
Yeah, but
that stand up though.
There also was a
cage grab.
The cage grab. The stand up when a Sun Sal should have been put in a better position.
No, but they didn't. Didn't they take a point from Davey Grant? No, but they didn't take a point.
I think they did.
I think this
is the fight where Davey Grant grabbed the cage like 4 times before they finally took a point.
Right, but it was the same narrative with whenever Leon grabbed the cage last night or yesterday. How either you get the position or you get the point taken away. You don't get both.
Okay.
So if they took a point from Davey Grant, it's by rights. that's probably a bigger punishment because even then it's like
I don't know. It looked like Rafael was about to have his back. I would have probably been like, no, let him keep the point.
Right. It depends on how it's scored and like.
Right.
But then a Sunchild, like, say he wins that round and he wins the round 10-8 now. That's a big gap of overcomes even in the first few rounds. And like you can't predict last minute getting finished.
Yeah. It was actually crazy that they took that point away from Leon just immediately. But I also think that's probably what they should do. I think it's the only way to stop the fence grabbing.
Yeah.
Because people are always expecting to get at least one warning.
And that was a bigger punishment though because Leon would have literally got right back up.
Yeah.
That was a harsher punishment for Leon because he was not getting held down by Usman yesterday.
And
that wasn't gonna happen.
And I also, I literally, I don't care if people get a point taken away for grabbing the fence because it happens way too much. That eye pokes, take them immediately.
Yeah, because
take the point immediately.
Yeah, you know that like it changes the fight.
Yeah,
pretty fast.
Yeah, and it'll stop it if they lose a point every time. They're not going to do it anymore.
I think every fighter gets like a free dick kick every fight. Like you literally could smash someone right in the dick, and there's no points or anything taken away. There's no incentive to not kick someone right in the dick every fight.
Yeah, especially if you're gassed.
They're like, all right, just 5 minutes and like your dick's recovering, and it's like, why not do that? Because there's no punishment for that ever. You never see a point taken away from an egregious dick kick,
right?
Even if it's intentional,
right?
It's like they're just like, don't do that again.
Like
okay,
like oh, he kicked him directly in the penis.
Yeah,
no point taken though.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like you just mashed it up in there, and it's like whatever. Just be careful. Be a good boy from now on, right?
Be a good boy. But
yeah,
that was a really cool finish. You don't
David Grant's exciting as shit.
Yeah,
he just swings wide hooks the whole time.
Right. I don't know that he's ever gonna like make it to the top, but he's fun to watch, man.
Yeah.
And you just don't see that many inverted triangles, bro.
No. Yeah. Last one was Masvidal getting finished by Toby Amato back in Bellator.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, the last one I seen. I think it was none in the UFC ever. That was the first one in the UFC.
Was that the first one in the UFC?
Yeah.
Damn. That's crazy.
And he looks like a maniac, by the way. Look at him.
Yeah, he looks like a psychopath. Yeah.
I like him, though. He's just like some like British guy who's like wild as shit.
Yeah. So then this fight was
Bobby Lashley versus Luke.
So Carl Williams versus Lucas Brzezinski. But I don't know if you watched this fight.
I didn't watch this fight.
But Carl Williams has potential.
Does he?
He hits really hard. His stand-up needs to be fixed. It's not great, but he hits really hard, and the dude is fucking strong. This is at heavyweight. He picked up that Polish dude and threw him to the other side of the cage. I mean, off of his feet, whole body in the air.
Is he a young guy?
Carl, I think so. I think he actually comes from wrestling. Let's take a look at him here.
He looks like a creative fighter. He's named.
Yeah.
He's named like a creative fighter too.
Yeah, he is.
Carl Williams.
Right.
Yeah, he is.
Pick a better name. Change your name before you fight.
Do better.
Yeah. He's 8-1.
Yeah, so not too shabby there. I'm trying to see. Can we get an age here?
I just don't know because it's like that. I guess we'd have to go to like Sherdog.
Here we go. Bio.
33. That's kind of young
for a heavyweight.
Yeah, I mean, depends how long he is developmentally, but
right. But dude, I mean, when he picked that dude up and threw him, I was like, "That's insane," because the dude was not small.
Yeah.
They were the same size at least. Picked him up, tossed him across the ring.
What is that fake stun gun?
That fake. Get rid of that.
Why? How is that the UFC site?
Dude,
like, you know what I mean?
crazy.
That's sad.
Yeah, it is.
Because I was like, who's Ma?
Right, Remy Ma. So, but
the rapper? Is that the rapper?
Yeah. I think Carl Williams is somebody to keep an eye on.
Probably, yeah.
I don't think he's
heavyweight's pretty open to like people just to rise up through if you're good enough.
Right, and I don't think he's going to be like in the top 5 tomorrow or nothing. But he looked decent and just so fucking strong.
I mean, top 5 is not hard to get into probably
in heavyweight.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why it's really hard to pay a heavyweight like he's the number 1 person in your brand.
Yeah,
because the best heavyweight of all time, because he has the most title defenses, is Stipe, and it was what 3, 4.
Yeah,
like It's hard to pay those guys the money that they want to get paid because your time in the light might be a fight.
Yeah.
The next fight after we pay you, you might get knocked clean the fuck out.
Yeah, and also like the stature of the division is like so. The reputation the division holds is so in shambles in comparison to how it was. It's on a marquee division. Same thing with light heavyweight. Light heavyweight was a marquee division. Now it's more like lightweight, welterweight. Those are like marquee divisions for the UFC.
Yeah.
So it's hard to.
I think heavyweight has some potential again now, though.
Oh yeah, I mean heavyweights have mostly have always been thin. It's like people romanticize like the JDS, Kane, Brock era. It was a good era, but like then you had people in the top like Czech Congo or whatever. It's like
right, yeah, like okay,
yeah. So it's always been thin, like towards the bottom half of the 10,
right.
15.
And like 100-year-old Nogueira. We got Nogueira in the UFC way past his prime.
Right. He beat Dave Herman though, if you remember him. Dave Herman.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like.
So next, I was actually impressed with this guy at light heavyweight. This is Vitor Butrino versus Anton Turkal. Vitor won versus via decision, and he's ripped.
I seen his weigh-ins.
He's a big dude. He's known for striking, and I guess beforehand he'd been telling people like I'm not just a striker, and he came out here and grappled this dude, and he did pretty good. And he's very powerful. Again, not somebody I think is going to be shocking the world anytime soon, but somebody to keep your eye on.
Yeah, I mean, light heavyweight, same similar path as like heavyweights.
Yeah.
It's pretty wide open to move up. You got a lot of people like Anthony Smith, who is like he's fine, but he's on. Anthony Smith's never been a world class champion, tier fighter. So.
And then at bantamweight we had Mario Batista.
He's like 41 years old, by the way.
Yeah, he's old. Yeah, versus Guido Canetti. Is that Guido? Is that what his name is?
How is he from Argentina?
Yeah, you think it sounds like a little bit Italian?
Everything about him doesn't match. Right. A 41-year-old Argentinian bantamweight named Guido Canetti. It's like
what?
Yeah, where'd you come from?
But Mario Batista was impressive.
Yeah, I've seen him fight before. He's a pretty good bantamweight.
Yeah,
the odds were nuts. Look at the odds.
Yeah, and dude, it looked right, dude. He was a killer, and the bantamweight is crazy.
That's the deepest division.
Yeah, I think by like leaps and bounds.
Yeah, it was like. That's like when people are like, Dominic Cruz is the best bantamweight of all time. Like he's good, and like on paper he's up there, but like, dude, these new bantamweights, first of all, are huge and well rounded.
Yeah, and
we'll get to the bantamweight top, the main event, but
yeah,
it's hard to even get above, because they have people like fucking like Rob Font, who's good, but like that dude's never been champion. He's good,
right?
Like he would 5 years ago or maybe 7 years ago, he'd be like close to the champion. Now he's barely top 10.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was a second where we thought, who was it that just beat the shit out of him? But we thought like Rob Font, like okay, his boxing.
That was Cheeto.
Oh yeah.
Cheeto.
Yeah.
And like he
mollywopped him.
Well, Cheeto would like get controlled and like hit up a bunch, but then anytime he touched Rob Font would just go down and flail and like lose the round. He was like, oh, he's winning. He's working his jab. He's doing pretty good. Peppering up, and it's like, Cheetah's gonna swing for the first time this round. He's dropped. He's beating the shit out of him now. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, it's just like you win most of the round, then you lose by getting just like stunned and dropped.
Yeah,
and like it's a sad way to lose, actually.
Yeah,
when you do well, but
especially because his boxing really is very good.
Yeah, this is a close fight, by the way. I did watch that fight.
This was a close fight, and it was weird to see a guy. First of all, I think it's Saeed, but it says said, and then but to see a guy with the name Nurmagomedov, and
striker.
He's actually a great striker.
Yeah, like he's a striker. So is he though.
Yeah, for sure, quick. But yeah, Jonathan Martinez did end up winning unanimous decision.
It could have gone either way.
Yeah, it definitely could have gone either way. But man, if you could learn some of that wrestling from your bros.
Yeah,
you'd probably be fucking really good shape because you've got the best striking out of all of them.
Gun to your head, could you name the relation to Khabib?
No.
He could be his brother or cousin or not even related to Khabib. I would never
could
know.
Not even be related.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's a lot of Nurmagomedovs these days.
Yeah, I feel it's and maybe I don't have the context of like Dagestan like culture and how often that name is, around.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like there's a lot.
Right, like it seems almost like it's like Smith in America. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I probably could do more investigating on like how common that is. And this fight was sloppy.
So then you had Nikita Krylov versus Ryan Spawn in a catch weight fight. And
this is a rebooking from a few weeks ago whenever Krylov got sick.
Yeah, but Krylov won by submission. I forget what the submission was now.
It was a triangle choke.
Because
I think that Krylov felt his back.
Spawn fell right into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right into it immediately. I forgot.
Yeah, like he locked him up. It's like
he was like, hey, dude, I'm going to come down here. You throw me in a triangle. We'll get out of here.
You ready? Yeah. Ready for this? Going head first and one arm in.
I will say Spawn physically looked better than I remember him looking for a while.
He knocked out Dominic Reyes with that jab. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I don't really remember it clearly, but I remember they were talking about it.
Look up that fight real fast. Dude, you got to watch. Dominic Reyes got obliterated with a jab and like a punch on the ground. Like, I've never seen someone fall faster, I don't think. He like went down like a piano from Looney Tunes fell on his head or something like that. It was like a cartoon. Just look at Reyes versus Swan. Where do you watch your full fights, by the way? Don't say it too loud, because you might get copyrighted.
ESPN.
Oh, okay. So you actually...
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at the head kick. The kick, I mean.
This one here?
Yeah. It's bad. Like, it's like, you should find a new career. Bad. They actually show clips, like you can see the knockouts on here?
I don't know. We're going to find out, huh?
You have ESPN Plus, right?
Yeah, but it's probably not logged in on here.
Yeah, I imagine that's the thing. But dude, I mean, like.
Oh, and we're froze.
What kind of janky operation you running?
I'm working on getting new internet. We're actually.
What internet do you have?
I have Comcast. I don't have anything right now. We're actually using the phone.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm going to. It's just they're too expensive.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting T-Mobile's.
Nice.
Because it just makes it all one bill.
Yeah.
And it's only $50.
Yeah, I go through Comcast for my phones and my internet, and like.
Oh yeah.
Every so often you gotta call and be like, I want to lower my bill. Like, you have to tell her that on the phone.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah, like all of a sudden my bill is $400.
Yeah.
I need this to be not that.
Yeah. And they're like, it's cheaper if you get a landline.
Yeah. Like
I don't see how.
Right. How is adding something making it cheaper? Like, fuck off.
Yeah. Maybe don't put a landline in your packages because no one gets them. Right. I have cable that's streaming only that I've never set up for 3 years.
Yeah. Right. I had cable, I had the landline, except I don't have a landline anywhere. I just have one.
Right.
And the cable box has never been hooked up. I'm using your internet for streaming. Why are you fucking me over on this? So then there was Alexander Volkov versus Alexander Romanov, who apparently Romanov had some kind of hype behind him, and I do not know why. That was so bad.
Did you see his weigh-in difference? If you look it up, like go look up his weigh-ins. Like go look up the Romanov weigh-ins, and like he showed up like 25 pounds heavier for this fight.
Yeah, he did not look like a fighter in any way, shape, or form.
And like I seen like people like, yeah, he could. Just look up weigh-ins, but good images. You probably see the difference pretty fast.
He also didn't even look like he really wanted to be in there.
So that was him recently. Like look.
Yeah, like here.
Yeah, that was
yeah, like here.
Before that.
He doesn't even look like the same person.
Yeah, it's the hair and beard. Well, all right, down there. Look, relatively cut. He looks.
Yeah.
And it's like he lost that fight against was it Tybura? I think he lost against Tybura.
Yeah.
And like he was like, "Fuck it, I lost in my last fight. I was in good shape. I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna eat whatever. It doesn't matter. Same result."
Dude, he just looked bad altogether.
It was like, all right, shoot a takedown. I'm gassed. Just finish me. That was the fight.
Right, I'm done.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
If you ain't gonna let me get that first takedown, I ain't gonna fight you, bud.
Yeah, I'm not here for a fight.
Here for this one takedown. Win or lose.
Right.
It hinges on this first thing I do.
That was so bad. And I like Volkov, but
I mean, Volkov is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's weird because, like, dude, Volkov might be a bad matchup for John Jones. He's huge as fucking hard to control.
Yeah.
Like, he's a good striker.
Yeah,
And, like,
he's huge.
Yeah, and like Blades had trouble taking him down for 5 rounds. He's bigger than he was for that Blades fight, I think. He put on muscle. And, like, Cyril sort of styled on him stand-up wise, but match up and make fights. Like, he's a pretty decent prospect still. How's he been around so long? And he's
been
still
around forever. He was a Bellator champion, right?
Yeah. But yeah, it was a cool thing that happened to them.
So then we get to the main event, and we had Peter Yan versus Merab Dvalishvili.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty close.
Not close fight.
Merab won by unanimous decision. And, you know, a lot of times when you see a guy that's just grinding on a guy, it's not that entertaining. This was entertaining.
Dude, he has the best cardio I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's, you know, EPO, maybe?
I don't know. I mean,
because,
I'm not saying it, but, like, he
had 40-some takedown
49
attempts?
takedowns.
49 takedowns.
He beat the record by 16 takedown attempts. That's
It was
insane.
just nonstop. He literally never slowed down.
No.
At all.
And it was like the same form. His strikes looked the same the whole time. He didn't look like he's labored at all anywhere. It was like the same consistency for 25 minutes.
And Yan, like, Merab's striking isn't great. Like, he did good with it. He was effective with it, but it's not great. But Yan was so worried about everything else that the punches were getting through.
Right.
You know, I mean, it was just a masterclass, honestly.
And I feel like that was probably the best case of somebody weaponizing their cardio against somebody else. Like, you see that happen. Like, Kane would do that heavyweight and
Colby.
Colby, but like this was actually the clearest example of like that. I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like and like especially like the takedowns weren't even to really take him down. It was just like, I'm gonna confuse you for 25 minutes,
right,
with a mixture of takedowns and strikes.
I would say at least half of those takedown attempts, he wasn't even really trying to take him down. He would like grab the leg, push him back a little bit, let him go.
Right.
Grab the leg, push him back a little bit, let him go.
But like that also too. It's like that's the best win against Peter Yan anyone's ever had.
Oh yeah,
because like
dominant.
Yeah, because like you look at the Aljo fights and like those fights were weird.
Yeah,
yes. Like even the rematch was like, okay, so he got body triangled for a round. He lost that round, but then it's like not a real domination.
Yeah,
and like Merab probably could beat Aljo. Like I think they train together. They won't fight.
Right. Well, Aljo came out and said, because if they weren't best friends, Merab would be fighting Aljo. I think that would be the fight. They would be going for the title. But
Aljo's going up, right?
Well, Aljo has to fight Henry Cejudo. First of all, he has to get through Henry Cejudo regardless. Then he says he's probably going to move up. But he did say, you want me to throw away my friendship with Merab for my $500,000 contract that I'm on? So to me, that opened the door to if you pay enough money, this will happen. Merab didn't say that. It was Aljo.
But I don't think that the money fight's not there for the UFC to pay Aljo enough. They don't care enough about bantamweight and Merab. Like Merab is good, and he's like.
I think Merab's actually really likable.
Oh yeah, like his post-fight speech was really good.
Yeah,
but I'm not saying he's but the UFC has to see merit in paying that much money for that fight.
Yeah,
and he isn't there yet, and like probably won't be there name-wise because the style's not conducive to like crazy highlights. He's on Sugar Sean.
Right,
he's not like that.
Right, and he's not finishing guys.
Right, and he's not on board either fully with the Aljo fight. They're not paying Aljo more than that much money to fight anybody, really.
Right.
I mean, there's just not a lot of. It seemed like Mighty Mouse, how he wanted money to fight TJ Dillashaw, who's actually a big name. He was like, "Yeah, I'll fight TJ if you could pay me $1 million." They're like, "You're not worth $1 million for anything."
Right.
Well, you fight Francis, and I would never pay you $1 million.
Right.
Know?
You may be one of the best fighters of all time, but you're not a draw.
Yeah.
And whether we like it or not, you have to be a draw because that's how they make the money to pay you.
Right. It's like imagine a Merab versus Aljo pay-per-view buy, $285,000.
I think there's a way. I think there's a way that they market that well, and I don't even think they have to go into them hating each other. I think it could just be like these two best friends, these two quirky guys are going to go in here and try to kill each other. I think there's a way to make that sell.
I don't think that the UFC's promotion.
I don't think it'll be one of the top sellers.
No, but it could be a good co-main actually. But the UFC doesn't really market people as much as they market the UFC brand anymore, which is makes it less reliant on stars. People could leave, and the UFC will shift the narrative that I
think they've really always had that, to be honest.
Yeah, and a lot of the stars that were made that got big on their own, and got big by their own pursuits. Like Conor, dude, the UFC did give him a platform, but Conor kind of made himself.
Yeah,
a lot of it. Just the way he was coming on with his interviews and
some of the best lines ever.
Right?
Who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, you can't really that's not. The UFC runs with what the stars give them, and it's a sort of a symbiotic relationship.
Right.
But they don't really make people organically on their own without the person trying as well.
Yeah.
Like Colby had to do it too. Colby had to change his style.
Yeah, Colby was damn near out of the UFC, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they were going to cut him because he's so boring.
Yeah.
Same with Chael. Chael was boring too until he started getting on the mic against Silva.
Yeah.
So like the UFC will take what you give them and be like, oh, we can market this guy now.
Yeah.
But they're not going to make you like. They're not going to be like, Rab, we have some canned lines for you. Read these on the screen.
Right.
We'll make you a star, bud. You know,
Right.
it doesn't happen like that.
You should, if you haven't watched it, there's a podcast called Flagrant with Andrew Schultz, a comedian, but they had Chael Sonnen on, and it was one of the best interviews I've ever seen. It was so good.
When he's kind of a UFC stooge now. His videos himself, like on his YouTube channel, I can't watch him anymore. I feel like he just says stuff for clickbait. I feel like he just has a lot of things that like.
This was more intel. He talked about fighter pay and why it's not the problem that people think it is. He talked about fighters missing out on opportunities to sell themselves.
Yeah. It's the stuff about like.
And then there was scenarios during the interview where it's like you're like, is he lying right now?
Yeah.
Or is he telling the truth?
It's hard to parse through a lot of what he says.
Yeah.
But like the fact that most fighters, like not most fighters, but when you get on the mic, if you just say, "I'll fight anyone the UFC wants to give me," bruh. You need to have a name.
Right, you should have taken your shot. That was your shot, bro.
I don't care. Or like when they're like, I'll fight Keanu Reeves for being like, dude, don't call out a celebrity. Right. Dude, I'm like, what is that call out? You want to fight an actor?
Right. What?
Jake Paul, pick me in boxing. Yeah, what?
All right, so I think the only fight we're going to match up for that card is Jan and Merab.
Dude, I think that Merab versus Sugar is a bad matchup for Sean. Terrible
matchup for Sean.
Dude, the worst matchup in the division.
Yeah, if I was Sean, that's the only fight I'm absolutely not taking.
Yeah.
Like, without a doubt.
And I feel like the Merab matches up well. Because like his style isn't really, it's not really depending on who he's fighting.
No.
His style could be replicated against grapplers, strikers, anybody.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Yeah, because it's going to be the same thing. Like grapplers aren't going to really thwart that with their grappling. Because like Peter Yan did great in the grappling scenarios. He just got overwhelmed in the in-betweens, you know?
But man, now we are... There's another Nurmagomedov down there.
The winner of Vera versus Sandhagen.
For Merab?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then what do you do with Sean?
I mean, he's probably going to get next after the Aljo fight.
If Aljo doesn't move up.
Well, even then.
But say Aljo moves up, so then who does Sean fight for the title though? The winner of Merab versus...
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks taken over about like contingent on a few different moves with the next few months of how that title fight plays out, what Aljo does, what Henry does. Does Henry come back and retire again? I don't know. Is it vacant? Yeah, it's just like hard to matchmake this unclear.
Yeah, because like if Aljo wins and moves up and vacates the title, now if Cejudo wins, then that's who Sean probably fights. Which I don't know if I like that for Sean either. We'll have to see what Cejudo looks like when he comes back.
Right. But Peter Yan, I have an idea. Him versus Cody. Cody Garbrandt. Yeah. Cody Garbrandt. Yeah. They each need a win.
They do each need a win, but they're very different levels here.
Yeah. Dominic Cruz, is he still active? I don't even know.
Yeah, I think he is still active. Dominic.
The winner of Ricky Simone. No, Song Yadong's fighting. Is he fighting Ricky? Who's he fighting next? I forget who they announced Song Yadong's fighting.
I don't remember.
But yeah, I think he's fighting Rob Font. So the winner of Rob Font versus Song Yadong can fight.
I was honestly thinking Rob Font for Yan. So
That's
I like
a bad
that.
fight for Rob Font, though.
Yeah.
but like Rob Font is very limited.
He's got good boxing.
Yeah, but you can work around that with a lot of things.
Yeah,
your power, your pressure, whatever. You know. So, yeah.
So that's it. So now we'll just close it out with previewing.
There's not a card, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck's next?
Go up. Preview the next card. Events upcoming. Of course, this is the one thing. Oh man,
that's a great fight.
Yeah.
Saturday, damn. That's a great fight. Yeah. I haven't actually even looked at this card yet. I don't even know who's on this. I think I've seen it, but it didn't register with me.
So we'll start down here. Okay. All right. Hey, there's Macy Barber.
That's good. It's actually a pretty good card. Yeah. Free card. Manel Cape is really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was a rising champion, flyweight champion.
Okay, I'll have to watch that one. I don't really know much about these guys. You got anything for them?
I mean, I've seen Chidi Nugani, whatever, fight. I don't know anything about Albert Durev. Angel Lee versus Macy Barber. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fight.
That's gonna be a barn burner. I know this fight though, Nathan Train Landwehr is pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
And Alex Caceres is always pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
He just knocked out Juicy J Julian Rosa with a flying head kick. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, he's more of a grinder.
Okay, and Alex is ranked, so I mean the fight means a lot for Nate.
Yeah, it does.
You know, so
he has the train on his chest, by the way.
That's weird.
That's not good.
No. Then the ever-present Holly Holm versus Yana Santos.
Yeah, I feel like I've not seen Holly Holm fight.
I feel like it's been a while.
She has to be 40.
Yeah, but she's always gonna beat most of the women. Her like honestly, her skill set in the stand-up game is it's good.
Yeah,
and she actually has gotten pretty good at takedowns.
Yeah, her grappling is a lot better.
Yeah,
and Yana Santos, she was Yana Kuchinavias or whatever her last name, but she married Thiago Santos actually.
Oh really? That's that's Thiago Santos's wife.
Yeah,
wow.
She has a hammer on her chest.
Just so we know, makes it
branded by him.
Who I think he went to PFL, right?
Somewhere.
No, PFL.
Kneeless. He went somewhere kneeless.
Kneeless, no knees.
This is a great fight.
But this is a great fight. Marlon Vera versus Corey Sandhagen.
Who do you think's gonna win? I think Sandhagen's gonna outpoint him.
You think so?
I feel like Marlon Vera has good reads, but Sandhagen, like he's not consistent on a round by round basis. Marlon Vera, he's good at finishing people and very opportunistic whenever he hurts somebody and landing big shots. But like you compare, like Corey Sandhagen is really good at striking.
I think not only is he really good at striking, but he does stuff that you don't expect. And I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he has the edge in the grappling department as well.
Probably, Marlon Vera.
And he's so long.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And Marlon Vera, I think, is going to be like just overwhelmed with sort of the activity of Corey Sandhagen. And
I've counted Marlon Vera out a lot.
Yeah, but his last few wins it's like he beat Rob Font, which is like I said, he would lose most of the round and batter him.
Yeah,
and I feel like Corey's a better stand-up fighter in terms of controlling pace and his defense than Rob Font is. And then he beat Edgar and beat Dominic Cruz. So it's like, yeah, it gets to be a little
questionable.
It's just the consistency at the top level.
And he beat Sugar, kind of.
Yeah. I remember that was like the first podcast we did was talking about that card. I like that was very. It's weird how long ago that was. It feels like.
Yeah, it was definitely a long time ago.
Well, like he was like a can.
Yeah,
I was like he's some can that.
He was a WWE jobber.
Yeah. Somehow he's like a contender now. It's good.
Yeah, he's number 3.
He's a good fighter, but
yeah,
him versus Peter Yan would be a great fight, by the way.
Yeah, I think I would
be violent.
Like that. Yeah, definitely
fight.
be violent.
Yeah.
But that's an exciting fight, man. I'm excited for this card.
It's hard to say the UFC is like failing whenever like this fight's excellent.
Yeah, this is a great fight and it's free.
Yeah, this is a better fight than you could put on. Like it's like when you think about like high level matchups, they're always going to be high level good matchups forever. In the UFC and MMA, it's always going to be there if you care enough to find it.
Yeah. So. All right, so I think I'm going to agree with you and say Corey.
Yeah, I feel like there's a way for Vera to win, but that window for him to land his big shots is going to be smaller against Corey than it is against his past opponents.
Yeah.
So I feel like counting on that window to be open for him to land his shots is a hard path for victory.
Yeah.
It just is,
And then we'll just do a real quick talk on Francis Ngannou, just because it's news. It says he's close to signing with either PFL or ONE, which means not Bellator. And my big takeaway from this is, Francis, you fucked up.
Yeah. It depends on what he can monetize outside the UFC, but I just feel like that he played his hand wrong in terms of like the interest level. I feel like Tyson Fury conned him. Because like
I think Tyson Fury would have still done that fight if he was still the UFC champion.
Right.
But you're not the UFC champion, and everybody knows I'm going to beat the shit out of you. This is a circus show because you're the UFC champion.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no. It's lost its luster whenever you don't have the title anymore.
Yeah.
So like the more
and lost its luster because not only do you not have the title, but then maybe the greatest of all time came back and won that title in dominant fashion.
Right. So now there's a question mark on who the best heavyweight is.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I feel like that's still. It's not like I don't think it's necessarily John Jones. Francis could be John Jones.
Could beat him. Yeah, but I think that fight probably there's a good chance if that fight goes a lot the same way.
Well, I feel like that positionally, Francis is probably better grappler than Cyril.
I think he's probably stronger, maybe.
But no, he did really well against Stipe in his grappling exchanges. Remember that second fight, he stuffed all those takedowns and beat the shit out of Stipe.
I just think that John is different though, because it's not going to be straight up like the takedowns that you see. It's not going to just be a single leg. It's not going to be just a double leg. He's going to trip you. He's going to have you up against a cage, pull a trip out. Maybe he's an IQ.
But that touch of death is not. And like Cyril,
correct touch of death.
Cyril doesn't have that. He's a great striker, but like he just doesn't have that threat. Yeah. And like a patient Francis, how he's looking in the second Stipe fight is scary. Him being and like those leg kicks were thunders he landed on Stipe.
Yeah,
like battered his legs, and like that version that he still exists. Knee surgery later, I don't know.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I said, there's question marks.
But regardless, there's a lot of question marks now because of the way things handled. And to me, now Tyson Fury does not want to fight you now because you're not the UFC champion. You might fight Deontay Wilder, which I still think you lose. But also, if Deontay Wilder also knocks you out, which is very possible because he also has a touch of death.
That's the end of your.
That's the end of it's it.
Yeah,
it's over.
Then it's like freak show boxing fights.
Yeah,
it's like but. Also, the promotion side of things, like the UFC's promotion behind a Francis versus Fury fight, is immensely more important to Fury than fighting Francis. Like, in the same way they co-promoted with Mayweather,
because they are the best at promotion.
Right. So it's like in the same way the co-promotion, it's like Fury is probably counting on the co-promotion from the UFC to bolster that fight and get that payday for both of them that needed.
Yeah.
Can Francis promote a fight by himself as who though? The ex-UFC champion?
Right.
By himself, you know.
Right. I'm the ex-UFC champion, and I had a hard life before I came here.
Yeah.
And he's not even exciting about any of it when he talks about it.
Well,
he's very kind of monotone, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he doesn't really need to be like fucking, Chael Sonnen on the mic.
No.
yeah.
No, but you can show me some emotion.
Yeah, but he's not. It's not gonna. Those press conferences aren't gonna go Mayweather versus McGregor. No. Yeah, it's like
actually, also again would make him really look bad. Would be Tyson Fury's mouth would also make him look bad.
Yeah,
because Tyson's good.
yeah. You don't want to get in a battle of wits.
No,
when English is not your first language.
And you also don't want to get in a boxing match with probably the best heavyweight in boxing history.
I mean, he could probably easily win the PFL championship and win the tournament and knock out all those men.
But that's the thing is now he loses the legacy's done, because if he loses in the boxing match, the UFC definitely isn't going to take him back. Dana White already said he isn't, but if he did actually beat Deontay Wilder, he might.
Yeah.
But
I don't trust Dana White, by the way, in terms of what he says about any finality of.
There was never going to be women in UFC, so.
Yeah.
But so you lose that boxing match, and now you're going to go to PFL or ONE and fight who? who are you fighting?
Right. No one knows these guys.
Right. Nobody does.
And like I would,
and they're people, and they're people that the UFC would never sign.
Yeah, or cut.
Yeah.
A while ago.
Yeah.
And it's just like he cornered himself into a box or whatever. It's like it's hard to get out of it now without saving, with saving face.
And the truth is, he asked for stuff that he knew was never going to happen. Everybody knows that Dana's not going to do anything that resembles close to like a union with like better fighter representation and healthcare and all this. Like none of that was ever going to happen. We know this.
Yeah,
everybody knows it. And you knew it, Francis. You knew that was not going to happen.
But I also don't believe Dana White when he says that Francis didn't want to fight John Jones, because if you look at interviews like a year ago, I remember whenever Francis knocked out Stipe.
Yeah,
he was like, John Jones is a better thing about cutting at 185. He said that right after Stipe got knocked out, and it's like he's promoting his champion, and I understand that. Like he's promoting John Jones now because John Jones is champion, and Francis isn't even a UFC fighter anymore. So he has to promote who he has. He can't be like, yes, this person who doesn't fight for us anymore could knock out our champion now. That's not smart. That's not smart.
Yeah.
But also, you're bullshitting me a little bit by saying he's afraid. I don't think he's afraid of John Jones.
Yeah. I don't know if he is or isn't, and I don't care. What I do know, but what a fact is the things that he asked for besides the pay were never going to happen. And if you made those a stickler point, either you're an idiot because somehow you thought you had enough power that you could pull that, or you just want it out of your UFC contract. I don't know if that means that you're scared of Jones, but you knew that you were on your way out, unless you're a moron, because you knew that he was never going to accept those terms.
It becomes I'm conflicted because it's like I do like the idea of a person who's just a fighter wanting something more than what everybody. It's like well, did you value yourself more than the UFC values you? Yeah, is that necessarily a thing worth criticizing? It's like as far as fight fans, yeah, because it's like I'm not gonna see the fights now. But like I can't blame a guy for saying this is my what I'm sticking to in terms of what I want for myself in my career. But like, well, then also you have ramifications from that.
Right.
Now, that's it. That's just how it works. And like, it's not even a judgment on him as a fighter. It's more a judgment on him as like, well, what do you want out of your life and your career and your freedom? All these things you value, are they worth giving up the notoriety and the championship in that pathway that the UFC was going to offer you? So it's like two sides of it too. Is it stupid? Maybe. But does Francis care more about doing these things besides UFC? Maybe, and that's his prerogative.
But what are his things besides UFC? The boxing match, because that is more than likely going to be one and done.
Right, but like if he cares about that enough,
I think he cares about that pay. But I don't think that he's not going to make, even if he fought Tyson, he was never going to make anywhere near what Conor made.
No, that's just not going to happen in another UFC fighter.
Yeah, it's just never going to happen. And I don't think the payday is even going to be as big as he really thinks it is. Will it be bigger than his UFC payday? Yeah, I would say that. I think. But
a long term trajectory, it's easier to make money in a contract with the UFC.
Right.
Whether that's worth it for you or not, it's like that's up to Francis, and that's something that like we're not even going to be privy to his machinations about how he's moving forward with internally. Like, okay, what's he valuing here? It's hard to say because, and the same thing with the UFC. I don't necessarily believe that the UFC. I don't believe Dana White every time he talks about what he says happened. I don't believe. We don't see all the negotiations.
Right.
We only see the optics that we're allowed to see. You know what I mean? We're reviewing it from the lens of...
I more or less go off of what I've seen Francis say. Because like Francis said it wasn't even really the money. It was that he wanted these other things. And you were never going to get those.
Yeah.
I will say this too. Like we have a friend who keeps saying like people are going to... The UFC fighters are going to go get that boxing payday and retire.
There's no boxing payday.
There's no boxing payday. Especially... when Francis loses this boxing match, it's over.
Yeah.
It's never happening again.
Well, YouTube boxing, it's like that's literally cash grabs for like older fighters,
and that's also gonna go away too. So the last Jake Paul card, Jake Paul made $40 million. Tyson made $4.
I mean, the
other Fury, Tommy.
Yeah,
Tommy made $4.
Yeah, and that's the biggest fight they could have made because that's actually.
Yeah, well, and if you go by the pay-per-view buys,
and do shit.
They didn't do shit. They didn't make anywhere near enough money to cover Jake Paul's $40 million.
right
off of the pay-per-view buys.
It's one
There's there is advertisers, stuff like that, but you also have the cost of putting on the whole thing. My guess is they lost money.
Probably, and like I said, we don't know that. We don't know that either.
I don't know that to be a fact.
But you just like look.
But when I just look at I do know how much both those fighters got paid, and I do know what the pay-per-view numbers were.
Right.
And the pay-per-view numbers don't even come close to covering Jake Paul's part of
that
the fight purse.
Yeah, and I just feel like that area of boxing is like gonna dry up for a lot of people, and it's gonna be very hard for UFC fighters to make money.
Well, yeah. First of all,
bank on that as a career opportunity. For
because first of all, it all depends on Jake Paul. If Jake Paul's not doing it, nobody gives a shit.
It's like the golden ticket. You ain't gonna watch. Like I don't care about KSI.
No, I saw him and Logan fight. They were both terrible.
Yeah, and Jake Paul's not that great.
No, I mean
he's fine.
I think he's good.
He's not
for
a top 50
what he
boxer.
Is. No, probably never will be. Especially after seeing the Tommy Fury fight, he probably should have caught 18 more uppercuts minimum to the face because his whole defense was leaning forward.
Right.
Like I'm gonna lean forward. Like hit him with all the uppercuts, Tommy. What are you doing?
And I feel like the more he fights in boxing, the less appealing it is to see him fight 0-0 ex-UFC fighters that are old.
Right. Because the whole thing with it is the mystery of it. Like, is he actually a good boxer?
He is.
He is a good boxer, but people are thinking like he's a world beater. That's the hype, and he's just not.
That's the loss is luster for him, and it's also like I don't need to see him fight fucking.
Like he can never call out Canelo again, like he was doing. Like you can never do that.
And you can't fight Gerald Mearshot in 2 years when it's got.
Right.
Yeah, no one cares about that anymore.
Right.
Yeah, that part of his career is done.
Yeah,
fighting
more than
Ben
likely, he's going to end up fighting Tommy Fury again, and then maybe he has one more fight. But then after that money well's gone.
Yeah,
it's gone.
All right.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week. And even though there are no good fighters in the UFC anymore, enjoy the fights.
Take care. All right. Take care. You ever see him, by the way? I have this shirt on, Harry Mack. Do you know who that is?
No.
Dude,